Hello, I'm Malith, hospitality trainer. This session is based on the basics of negotiation for hospitality professionals, a comprehensive training program. You know, in the fast-paced world of hospitality, we are constantly making deals, solving problems, and trying to find common ground. Really, this is all negotiation, and learning how to master it, well, that's a real game changer. So today, we're going to unpack the core strategies that are absolutely going to elevate your success.
First things first, let's get one thing straight. Forget those dramatic movie scenes, with the raised voices and people banging their fists on the table. Real negotiation is so much more subtle than that. It's less of a shouting match, and honestly, it's more like a game of chess. It's a quiet, focused process where every single move is strategic and anticipates what's coming next.
So here's what we're going to walk through together. We'll start with what negotiation truly is, and then we'll get into why it's so critical in our industry. After that, we'll dive into the core principles. Think of this as your personal toolkit. We'll also talk about that crucial balance between relationships and results, and finally, we'll wrap up with the key takeaways you can start using right away.
Okay, so to really master negotiation, we first need to have a really clear understanding of what it actually is. And believe it or not, its roots go way, way back. The word itself actually comes from the Latin for to carry on business, which, when you think about it, is really the heart of it all. This isn't about arguing. It's a structured, back-and-forth conversation with one simple goal: to find an agreement that works for everyone involved, even when you're starting from very different places. To help you visualize what we're talking about, let's think of a pie. I want you to imagine this pie represents everything that's on the table: the resources, the money, the terms, literally everything that can be divided up between the parties.
Now, your mindset here is absolutely crucial. The old-school way of thinking is what we call the fixed pie. It's a zero-sum game. For me to get a bigger slice, you have to get a smaller one. But you know what? Skilled negotiators see a totally different reality. They know the pie can actually be expanded by getting creative and adding new elements to the deal. You can create a win-win where both sides get more than they even expected. And that, right there, is the shift from confrontation to collaboration. And that collaborative mindset is so key, because it gets right to the fundamental reason for this whole exercise. So why do we even need to negotiate in the first place?
Well, in business, negotiation isn't about charity. It's all about reciprocity. Everyone sitting at the table is at some level asking themselves, what's in it for me? A really successful negotiation finds an answer that satisfies everybody, creating a mutual benefit that makes the agreement strong and lasting.
And don't for a second think this is just for high-level executives. Negotiation is happening all day, every day, all around you in hospitality. You're negotiating when you finalize a linen contract, when you set a group rate for a wedding, or when you're resolving a tricky guest complaint. It happens in salary talks, in budget meetings between departments, and when you're building new partnerships. It is a constant, daily part of our business.
Now, let's get into the core principles. Listen, the biggest losses in any negotiation don't come from being out-talked. They almost always come from a simple lack of preparation. These concepts we're about to cover are your essential toolkit. All right, first up is your BATNA. That stands for your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Put simply, it's your plan B. What are you going to do if you can't reach a deal? A strong BATNA is a huge source of power. Let's say that linen supplier won't budge on their price. Your BATNA might be the excellent quote you already have from their main competitor. See, it gives you the confidence to reject a bad offer because you know you have a solid alternative waiting. Next is your reservation value. This is your absolute bottom line, your red line, your walkaway point. If you're selling a block of rooms, it's the lowest possible rate you'll accept. If you're buying new kitchen equipment, it's the highest price you'll pay. Now, this number must remain confidential. Why? Because if the other side knows your limit, they have absolutely no reason to offer you anything better. So here's where those two concepts, BATNA and reservation value, come together. It's called the ZOPA, or the Zone of Possible Agreement. This is simply the overlap between your reservation value and the other parties. In this example, you can see the hotel will not go below $1,500 and the agency will not go above $2,000. That range between $1,500 and $2,000, that's the ZOPA. That's the playing field where a deal can actually happen. Okay, this next idea is a complete game changer. A position is a firm demand, like saying, I need an 8% discount. An interest, on the other hand, is the underlying reason for that demand. I need a predictable budget and I need on-time deliveries I can count on. People get stuck all the time fighting over positions, but the magic happens when you start to explore the underlying interests, the why. That's when you unlock creative, win-win solutions that satisfy what everyone really needs.
Now, of course, no negotiation ever happens in a vacuum. It's always this delicate dance, right? A balance between getting the best possible result you can and at the same time maintaining a healthy, long-term relationship.
There are basically 5 main styles, and each one has a different balance. A competitive style is all about winning, prioritizing the result over the relationship. An accommodating style is the exact opposite. Maybe you give a long-term partner a fantastic deal just to maintain that goodwill. And then you have a collaborative win-win style, which tries to maximize both. The real key is knowing which style fits the situation. You probably wouldn't use a competitive style with a key supplier you rely on, but you might with a simple one-off transaction.
You know, in hospitality, our partnerships are everything. And long-term success really rests on these 3 pillars. Your reputation, whether you're seen as fair or ruthless, it will follow you. Trust opens the door to better communication and ultimately better deals. And a sense of justice and integrity, well, that's what brings people back to do business with you again and again.
Whew! We have covered a lot of ground. So let's distill all of this down into the most important points to take with you into your very next discussion.
First, remember that preparation is always more powerful than persuasion. Before you even walk into the room, know your principles. What is your BATNA, your reservation value, and the likely ZOPA? Number 3, always look to expand the pie, not just fight for your slice. You do that by focusing on interests, not just positions. And finally, always play the long game. Protect your reputation by balancing those immediate results with your long-term relationships.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. In your next conversation, whether it's with a supplier, a guest, or even a colleague, ask yourself, am I here to defend a rigid position, or am I here to explore the underlying interest and find a better solution for everyone involved? I promise you, the answer to that question will define your success.